Manifestation content is a lie. It is being expressed as a lie, and I don't know why the girls are lying to you. I don't know why they're misleading you. I don't know why they're not telling the whole story, but I want to tell the whole story. And I really shouldn't even be doing this right now because the sun is setting and the camera's probably going to shake when I drive, but I'm in traffic, so I won't be driving much, and I just have to like get this off my chest because I try and watch manifestation content to like remind myself and get myself back in the system I need to be in. But I'm sick of the woo. I'm sick of people acting like this is just magic. I don't know where we all got that from. Maybe people just don't know what they're talking about. I'm not really sure why this is happening, but I want to explain how to manifest something, but actually though, like with science, with evidence, with empirical data, not with just, three, write it 3 times, 3 days, and in 3. Like, can we be for real? So this is how manifesting works. This is a big pillar of it. Again, science. Someday we might go into like, what is that? The amber lamps. The amber lamps. Hold on. Where are they going? Go get them, girl. Okay, someday we might get into like vibrations. So like there's lots of different areas that we can take this when talking about manifestation, but I want to talk about the main concept of it today. I want to talk about how to manifest something by changing your belief, because that's the main thing, and that is actually science. That is not just hippy dippy magic. So listen to this as a podcast, because again, this video is not going to be the highest quality, but the information will be high quality. Okay, so walk with me, talk with me. Well, the manifestation girlies said online, and again, I don't know why. Maybe they don't know. Maybe that like it's just what gets more views. I don't know, but I'm here to tell the truth. What the manifestation girlies say online is that you need to just start lying to yourself, do the self-gaslight, and just say, I'm a millionaire. I'm a millionaire, and just say it until you believe it, and then you will just become a millionaire, and that's it. That is true, but it's also not. Like, why would you say it like that? So what I want to explain is how this actually works, and how what they're describing is simply a psychological principle. A psychological principle that changes your reality, but like changes your reality not in the way of like you're waving a magical wand and literally shifting and altering everything around you. We'll get into it. So I think I need to explain. There's a lot to explain. Let me think of where to start. I guess we'll start with where you're at now. So let's say, for our example for this video, you want to start a business. So you want to manifest like, I'm going to have a successful business. So where you are right now, when you're looking into manifestation, is you are probably, maybe you just started, but you're scared, or you don't really believe in yourself. So you're probably sitting there like, oh, I want to start a business, but they say 1 in 5 businesses fail. That's 20%. That's a lot. And then if we look at businesses that fail within the first however many years, that's like 50%. That's a lot. A lot of businesses fail. I've never started a business before. I'm starting a cafe. Cafes are hard. The profit margins aren't that good. This, that, third, fourth, the fifth. You're scared to start your business. You're scared that you're going to fail. And so you're just sitting there doubting yourself. Can you move? So you're just sitting there doubting yourself. And what this does, you're going to move. You're going to let me in. What this does is this is a cognitive trap. When I say cognitive, I mean literally the brain and the mind. Because the way that the mind works is the mind is a pattern recognizer. The mind recognizes patterns and pulls out relevant information for you to remember. Okay? I'm going to use cars as an example because I'm in one. When you get a new car, suddenly you start seeing everybody on the road driving your car. And that's not because suddenly everybody bought the same car on the same day as you. The reason why this happens is because your brain now knows, okay, this is my car. This is something that is associated with me, therefore it's important. And so because it's important, I'm going to pay attention to it. And so then when you see people driving your car, even though you had seen them before, your brain just didn't pay attention then because it wasn't your car, it wasn't important. But now it is, and so now you notice it more. The brain is picking what to tell you. The brain also recognizes patterns in the sense of like, when you're driving, there's like a 2-lane road, and you're driving, and there's a bunch of people in the left lane, and nobody's in the right lane. you might say to yourself, okay, based off of what I know, based off previous evidence, based off of the pattern that I noticed, we're not on a 2-lane road and there's a lot of people in one lane and nobody in the other lane. Based off what I know, the right lane, the lane that nobody's in, is probably going to become a turn lane. That's probably why nobody's in there. So I'm not going to get in the right lane. I'm going to stay in the left lane and I'm going to wait for all these cars to go. And I'm going to wait because if I get in the right lane, I'm probably going to be forced to turn right. And then I'm going to be off my route. I'm going to get home late. I'm going to be pissed off. So I'm just going to stay in the lane that I'm in and I'm just going to wait. And so you stay in the lane that you're in. And so you wait. And what this is a pattern. This is your brain taking a guess on the world, not based off of truth, but based off of what it knows about the past. What that lane, what the right lane actually is not information that you have. You don't know, but your brain is going to guess based off the patterns that it has recognized. So how does that play into manifestation? That's what manifestation is. So with the cafe example, your brain at that point has the pattern ingrained into itself that, I don't know, I'm a failure. That's the pattern. So what the brain is going to do is it is going to look for pertinent information and look for information that confirms that pattern to prove that the information that the brain knows to be true is true. So when you start up this cafe, and let's say you have your opening day, you have your opening sale. When you start the cafe and you have your launch day, let's say you really wanted 100 people to come, but only 50 people came. Your brain is going to be like, there's proof that you're a failure. Because you wanted all these people, you didn't get it. There's proof that you're a failure. There's proof that this is going to fail. Just what I thought was right. Boom, done, finished. And so what that does is it puts you in a cycle. This is not made up. This is a psychological principle. This is just how the brain works. It puts you in a cycle of a self-fulfilling prophecy, or you might also see it referred to as self-sabotage. It puts you in a cycle where you believe, I am a failure. Therefore, you act the way that a failure would act. Say you believe I'm a failure. So let's say you want to introduce matcha to your cafe, but you believe you're a failure. You're only going to buy a little tiny bit of matcha because you don't think you're going to get that many customers, or you don't want to waste money. You don't even have a lot of money and you're scared, whatever. So you buy a little bit of matcha. Then, because you acted in a way that a failure would act, you are more likely to fail somehow. Say that the business actually does do really well. You get a lot of customers, a lot of people are ordering matcha, and you run out of matcha powder. So you're not able to serve everybody that you wanted to serve. Customers are leaving disappointed that they couldn't try the matcha, and now your belief has manifested into reality. You have truly failed. And that reaffirms your belief. And so now you believe even more so, I am a failure, and you will act as a failure even more so. And so you keep going in this cycle, and your brain just continues on with this pattern that isn't serving you. So what manifestation does is it encourages you to change the pattern. It encourages you to accept a new belief so that your brain can look for new patterns. Instead of saying I am a failure, you take on the belief of I am someone who starts successful businesses. What manifestation doesn't do, and what the girlies act like it does, what it does not do is it doesn't change this reality as a whole. It doesn't change anybody's reality but yours. So if you are 5'7" and 40 years old, you can manifest and write it down and visualize and believe all you want, but you're not gonna get in the NBA. You can't change reality enough to make it that a 5'7", 40-year-old is the kind of person who gets into the NBA. You cannot change other things. And you can't manifest your way into being a magical fairy princess. That doesn't exist. So you believe it all you want. That's not a thing. What you can change is your own perception of the reality around you, because your perception of reality is not accurate. As we've discussed, when you buy a new car, suddenly you see everybody in this new car. Nothing has changed. The same people are driving the same cars. You're just noticing the car now more because your brain has decided that it is relevant. So the reality that you had before wasn't accurate because you weren't noticing all these people in this car. And the reality that you have now is also not accurate because you're not noticing anybody in any other car. Your reality is formed by your brain. Your reality is not an objective look at everything that is happening. It is the key information your brain has decided to give you. That's why somebody can say something and you can forget what they said 2 seconds later because your brain decided that wasn't important. We don't need that. Your brain is filtering this information and telling you how to feel about it, telling you what to remember, telling you what to forget. Your reality is fake. Not fake in that sense, but just fake in the sense of it's not the objective world. So if it's not the objective world, you may as well pick what you want your reality to be. And that's what manifesting is. It is picking a different reality for yourself. And that same cycle from earlier of that self-fulfilling prophecy, you just want to put yourself in a self-fulfilling prophecy that serves you. This is what manifesting is. So if we go back to picking a new identity, let's say you pick the identity of I'm somebody who starts successful businesses. And let's say that same scenario happens. You have your business launch day. You want 100 people to show up. 50 people show up. You believe I'm somebody who starts successful businesses. So the fact that this day is not the biggest success in the world doesn't matter that much to you because you know that this is going to be a successful business. You start successful businesses. You know this about yourself. So having one hurdle, it's a minor inconvenience, but it's not that big of a deal. It's like when we're driving in the left lane instead of the right lane because we think the right lane's a turn lane, remember? You're driving in the left lane and finally all them cars go. Finally you get to the front and finally you see, go to right lane wasn't even a turn lane. I could have got over there the whole time. Yeah, you're irritated. Yeah, you're annoyed. But at the end of the day, you just keep driving until you get to your destination. It's not that big of a deal. And it's the same thing when you manifest this positive outcome for yourself. If you tell your brain, I'm somebody who starts successful businesses, your brain is going to look for evidence of that pattern. And so when you're running the business and you buy a little bit of matcha and then you sell out of that matcha powder, instead of seeing it as a failure, your brain is naturally just going to be like, oh, business is booming. Girls are coming in from left, from right. They want coffee. They want matcha. They want everything. We got to buy more matcha next time. We got to buy more matcha next time so we can serve everybody. Now you're acting as somebody who starts successful businesses. And so because you bought more matcha, you're able to sell more matcha to more people. And because you sold more matcha to more people, you see yourself as a success. And it reaffirms this belief, which reaffirms your pattern recognition, which makes your brain pick what to pay attention to. And so it makes the bad things that happen become minor inconveniences, become staying in the left lane when you could have got in the right lane. It's not that big of a deal. And it makes the good things that happen be an affirmation that, well, duh, good things were always going to happen. That's not really that big of a deal either, but it's something that you expect. And so it's something that you can act in accordance of. Another example of this is something that people often manifest for themselves on accident. Okay, slow down. I'd like to talk about, oh, the light is red. I'd like to talk about manifesting okay, sorry, girl. Something that a lot of people manifest for themselves without realizing is passing middle school. And so you might, as an 8th grader, have the mindset of, I'm a good student. And so because you believe, I'm a good student, when you make it to 8th grade, you already know, I'm going to pass 8th grade and I'm going to get to 9th grade. It's not really a question in your mind. It's something that you fully expect to happen because you've got this belief of yourself that I'm a student who passes grades. I'm a student who succeeds in school. And so when you're in 8th grade and you get an A, your brain is latching onto that pattern of saying, okay, I'm a person who succeeds in school and I just got an A on this test. So that is in alignment. Good job, girl. You did it. Go for you. We're on track. And then you take another test, you get an F. Your brain sees it as a minor inconvenience. And your brain doesn't say, oh my God, I got an F. This is what always happens. I'm such a failure. I can't do anything. I waste all that time studying. I'm not even going to study for the next test. I'm just going to whatever, I give up. No, your brain just says, damn, got an F. Shit, well, I guess we'll have to study harder next time because we're going to pass. We're gonna go to high school, so I guess we'll just have to figure it out. And so in time, because of the way that your brain sees yourself, you're able to manifest yourself graduating middle school, and you make it to high school. And I think the biggest blocker to this idea of, if I just believe I'm somebody who starts successful businesses, my business will be a success. There's two big blockers. Blocker number one is when you fail. When you manifest, I'm going to start a successful business, and then you start the cafe, and then the cafe goes bankrupt, and you have to close the cafe. This is where we say manifesting, and this whole thing of like changing your cognitive understanding, your cognitive perception, it doesn't change the world. It changes how you perceive the world. So if you start your cafe in a bad location, no amount of cognitive perception is going to move the cafe. If you're a 40-year-old man trying to get into the NBA, no amount of believing in yourself is going to make the coach hire you. You cannot change the world and the way that the world exists. What you can change is your perception of the world and the way that you act. As a 40-year-old man who genuinely believes that he's going to get into the NBA, you might be talking to people you would never otherwise be talking to. You might be practicing things you would never otherwise be practicing. And next thing you know, you end up finding yourself as an NBA trainer, or as an NBA, like, I don't know what it's called, the like medical people who help the athletes when they get injured. And so now you're not like in the NBA, but you're NBA adjacent. You're pretty close to having achieved what you wanted to achieve. Or what it does is it keeps you moving forward. You believe that you are somebody who starts successful businesses, and yeah, that cafe failed, but that's just a minor inconvenience because you're somebody who starts successful businesses. So the next one will be better. You learned what you did wrong on the cafe, like you learned what you did wrong when you got that F on that test in 8th grade. Now you know what to do better next time. Next time you're gonna get an A. You're gonna get an A for the semester. You're gonna graduate. You're gonna start a new business. It'll be successful. You're gonna be fine. You following? So that's issue one. And issue number two with manifesting is when it's just getting yourself to manifest in the first place. Because you might be sitting there thinking, okay, yeah, I can try and manifest like, oh, I'm gonna be a success, but I have all this evidence, all this fact in my head that says, no, I'm not a success. Because I've started a business before and it failed. And I've started other ventures before and it failed. And, you know, I tried to plan a Peru trip with my girls, but I didn't know how to do it because I had never been to Peru before. And so we had a bad time. And I've never opened a cafe before, so I'm not going to know how to do this either. And you have all this logic that explains why your manifested, like, personality, why your new identity isn't true. But the thing about that is what we've been saying this whole time. Your reality isn't true. Your reality isn't fact. It is what you have absorbed. And what a lot of people don't realize is a lot of their cognitive distortions, a lot of their limiting beliefs, a lot of the bad things that they believe about themselves, a lot of the things that are ruining their self-image and their self-esteem are things that they absorbed as children. And shout out to children. They're doing their best, but children don't know anything. Those are your formative years. That is when you really come to understand who you are and how you fit into the world. But that is also when you know the least about the world. So as a 3-year-old, maybe you're playing, you're kicking your ball, you're having a good time, you kicking, you laughing, and your mom comes up, grabs you by the arm aggressively, and snatches you out the street and says, "Don't play there ever again." And so as an adult, you can hear this story and you can go, oh, the kid was playing in the street. The mom was probably trying to keep them safe. But as a kid, you might not have like pieced together yet how roads work, or that getting hit by a car is a problem. And so you as a kid might take in different information. You might take in, oh, when I have fun, things go badly. I shouldn't have fun anymore. And so now you're 25 and you're listening to a video about manifesting your dream life, and you're like, well, I can't have my dream life because when I have fun, everything goes badly. And you're not going to remember that example from when you were 3 unless you're doing deep trauma therapy. You're not going to remember that at that point. That's like a recessed, buried information. Your brain has said that's not really that relevant anymore. Put that in the back files. What you're going to remember is well, when I was 23, I tried to plan this Peru trip, but then the trip got canceled. And when I was 21, I tried to do this, but then that went wrong. And when I was this, and so as you can see, every time I try to have fun, things go bad in my life, so I shouldn't be having fun. When what you're doing is you're allowing your brain to pay attention to the things that prove the pattern that it learned when you were 10 years or younger. All these big beliefs you have about yourself of like, greatness is not meant for me, I'm poor, I'm bad at things, I'm this, I'm that. That is all from childhood. That is all from when you didn't know anything. And yes, you have a lot of data as to why that might be true, as to why the world fits into that pattern. But just because you have that data doesn't make it true. Just because 3-year-old you thought, oh, I can't have fun, doesn't make that true. That doesn't mean that that was the objective truth of the situation. That's just what you absorbed. And so if you're just going to absorb information and make up a reality anyway, you may as well make up one that benefits you. You may as well make up one that pushes you forward. And so how do you do that? First, you have to pick what your new identity is. I'm somebody who starts successful businesses. You pick whatever identity serves whatever it is you're trying to do for yourself in that moment. And then as you go throughout your life, from then on, you're trying to find micro examples of this identity being true. Micro examples. And as you go, all of these examples are what your brain is going to look at instead. So we'll use the having fun one. You might say, oh, I'm somebody who can't have fun because every time I try to have fun, things go bad. The last example I have of this is when I was 23, I tried to plan a trip to Peru, but I planned it poorly and me and my friends had a bad time and I should have just stayed home. When you say to yourself, no, brain, that's not our truth anymore. Our new identity is I am somebody who loves to have fun. And when I have fun, my life is great. Well, now your brain, with you actively doing it, because your brain is not used to this yet, your brain is still used to the old pattern, so you kind of have to coach your brain for a while, right? You got 25 years worth of the wrong coaching to unteach. But now when you start to notice these micro moments, your brain can pick up on them even more and build up more evidence. So you might say, I'm somebody who likes to have fun, and so you go to work happy hour. You go to happy hour after work, you have a good time, you're chitting, you're chatting, you're kikiing, and you just so happen to have a conversation with the CEO. And so now the CEO knows your name. And so you say, hey, I'm somebody who likes to have fun because I had fun at this work after party and I got to talk to the CEO, and that's going to be good for my career. And you log that in your brain. You tell yourself that. You put that in there. I'm somebody who likes to have fun. Here's evidence as to how it makes my life good. And then, you know, you're going to go out, things are going to go bad, you're going to have your bad moments, you're going to reaffirm the previous belief because that's the pattern your brain is used to looking for, but you're going to keep finding these micro moments. You're going to say, there, see, I'm somebody who likes to have fun because I had fun this morning, you know, blowing bubbles with my straw into my coffee cup, and it was just like a cute little fun little moment and nothing went wrong. So yeah, I'm somebody who can have fun. And slowly, you start to build up more and more evidence until your brain naturally starts looking for evidence of the new pattern rather than this old pattern that you learned as a child that is wrong. And technically both are wrong. Technically neither one is the true objective reality. But if you're going to pick one, why wouldn't you pick the better one? So yeah, that's how you manifest. That's how you manifest based off science. It is a cognitive trick of getting your brain to notice patterns that are beneficial to you, and therefore based off the patterns that it notices, getting your brain to operate in a way that is beneficial to you. Traffic has cleared up. I'm driving a lot now, so I'm sure my phone sounds terrible. So I'm going to stop talking here. If you like this video, click on some other ones where we're talking about building a dream life on this channel. And I will see you guys in the next one. If there's more you want to know about manifesting, like for science, like for real, not the woo-woo stuff, let me know in the comments and I'd be happy to discuss it. I'll see y'all next time. Till then, toodaloo.